Hi, Randee with Realign by Randee here. If you like my videos, please like, follow, and subscribe, and comment as needed. Just a reminder, when doing any of my posture exercise videos, make sure that any exercise that causes you pain, that you modify it or skip it for yourself. I do give a lot of cues about this in my classes, but by all means, make sure you are adjusting for yourself.
All right, we are good. So we are gonna lie in static back. We are gonna need our yoga block or pillow, strap or rope tie, or if you don't have it, there's only a brief amount of exercises with that. I'm using a block, but this could be a chair or an ottoman. And then I have my slant board, but you can use just standing with your back against the wall or roll up your yoga mat. All depends on what you have accessible to you. So this is something, if you are using a chair or an ottoman at home and you want to use this exercise outside of class, we really want to try and get 90-90. So you can always take pillows or a couch cushion or a nice folded blanket, folded evenly, and you can create a better angle for yourself with whatever you have. Okay, so we are going to start off today with some breathing. Your arms are out to the side, palms up. They're about 45 degrees away from your body. The other thing I didn't say was a small towel if your head is tipping back like that, which mine is not. That would be a reason. And if you don't have a towel and you have a yoga mat, you could just do a little folding up of the yoga mat to help. So there's lots of props and things to adjust. So we're going to do some breathing here. So first, the basics are we're going to inhale, exhale, and then we're going to contract our abdominals. And so as you're doing that, then I'm going to get a little more specific. So as I'm inhaling, I want to breathe where the air goes in my belly, my back, and my sides. And then I'm exhaling and contracting. And as you do your inhales, be mindful that you're not really raising your shoulders up. We want more air going in the belly, the back, and the sides, rather than a lot of shoulder breathing. If we are, that's a common reason people have neck tension, is a lot of upper breathing, and we call it your accessory muscle breathing rather than using your diaphragm. And contract. So we're just going through nice inhales, exhales, and contracting our abdominals. And that's helping. Some people are going to have their back really raised up off the floor, and some people are already going to feel it on the floor. This really responds to your own posture and in helping the spine get more of a natural curve. So it depends on your body what you're going to feel. We're going to go on to our arms now, and we're going to put our arms out to the side into gentle fists. So I'm in goalpost position, 90 degrees, and then I'm going to be squeezing my shoulder blades together. So in the back of my body, my shoulder blades are gliding together like this. And you want to be mindful that you're not really arching your back a lot. It's not a big motion, and it's not all the way in this neck part. It's happening just in the muscles that are on your shoulder blades right in the back. You're just trying to draw them together and then let go. Draw them together and then let go. And we're just kind of getting our shoulder blades, our scapulas gliding and moving. So important. When we spend our days bent over things, they kind of get stuck in a more out position, and this natural gliding motion helps so that everything else about our upper back can move. Okay, so now we're going to go to hands together. We're going to do pullovers. So we're going to clasp our hands together. Palms are together, elbows are straight, and we're going to reach backwards and come back up. And just a reminder, no pain with anything in the class. And if you have a shoulder issue, you're going to go a smaller movement. If your shoulders feel good and mobile, you can move further back. It might be as we do these repetitions, you kind of get a little further each time. And as you sort of get warmed up, you can go further. And again, you're being mindful that you're not trying to arch your back here in order to get there. So keep your upper back here on the floor and just reach backwards. Now, if you can't clear your head well, relax your shoulders down. That's a common reason that we get kind of tight in this area, is you're too tense in your upper traps and your shoulders. So we're going back and forth. So we're going to do this a few more times, and then what we're going to do is we'll take our pillow or a yoga block and put it behind our hands, and we're going to press into it. Again, any shoulder issues, you can always stay at this pullover motion in a pain-free range. We never want to do alignment exercises working through actual pain. It's okay to feel stretching, but not pain. Stretching, hard work, cramping, all okay. That's not the same as a sharp negative pain. Okay, so I'm putting my yoga block behind me. You can change the height based on your shoulder mobility. And I'm putting it so that my hand will rest right underneath the thumb area. And this way, my elbows are straight, my palms are glued together, and I'm going to press into the ground a little bit. So it's still this down motion. It is happening somewhat in this, you'll feel some work in your upper back as you press into the ground. So even though you're sort of pressing your thumbs into the block or the pillow, but there is work happening in your upper back. This is sort of undoing that bent forward motion that we have, and a forward head posture. And you can always switch the grasp of your thumbs if you feel like you need to make sure both sides are getting that. Always feels a little weird when you go the opposite way of your natural tendency. So we are squeezing and releasing. We're just getting things moving and warmed up and unlocked a little bit. And from here, of course, I'm peeking at where we are going to. Okay. Letting go. We can just take another breath or two before we move all of this away. Nice inhale, exhale, and contract. Let everything settle down. And in a moment, we're going to take our chair or our block away from our legs, and we'll put our feet on the ground. Okay. I'm going to move all that away. We may need it later. And now we're lying on the ground. And so we are going to have our feet sort of wider than hip width to start here today. So if you have a mat, they can be the width of your mat. If not, just think about just being wider than your hips, as long as that's comfortable. Put your arms out to the side, palms up, and now we're going to do knee drops. So we're letting our knee drop. So my knee is going towards my opposite heel, and then I'm going to go the other way. But I want you to do this with control. So don't just let the legs fall. Control them up and down to the other side. So you can feel like a stretching motion through your side. And I don't want you to really try and rotate your whole body. If you can only go this much where your knees aren't really touching the ground, that's okay. But you don't need to come where your arm is so far off the ground. Everyone's motion here is going to be a little different. Some people, the going in is going to be easier. Some people, the going out, or both. Or you might be so loose, everything's just falling to the ground. In that case, be much more controlled with your motion. So again, we use these exercises in a way to make it work for your body and get what you need out of this class, which is hopefully to feel more functional, more balanced. And we'll do a few more. And that's it. Now, we're going to bring our feet back. So now we want to be hip width. And when I say hip width, we're talking about the center of our hips. So our little cheat for that when we're lying on our back is we put our feet together and then we walk our heels out, and then we walk our toes out. And then we are about in that hip width and our feet are straight. We're always, unless I specify otherwise, we always want our feet parallel and about hip width apart. And so now we're gonna lift one leg, cross it over like a 4, and the knees gonna draw away. That's with the muscles of the legs, not with your hand. And then if you find that you're tipping all the way, then you're going way too far. It, again, depends on your body. So knee is away, but keeping your pelvis level. Then we're gonna add in with the foot, as long as you're comfortable, we're gonna do heel up and then toe up. The foot that's on the ground is doing what we call a rocking chair. So it's getting some foot and ankle mobility while we're keeping everything else stable. So we might be getting a stretch, or we might just be holding and stabilizing it. Again, totally dependent on what's happening in your body. So we're rocking chair at the foot, and then we are going to switch sides. So I'm going to put my foot down. If you don't feel quite hip width correctly, realign your feet, heels out, toes out, and then bring the other leg up like a 4, pressing this knee away. And you're going to take the bottom foot and do heel up, toe up. Back and forth, the rocking chair motion. Again, being mindful what's happening at your pelvis. If as you push away, you're losing it, bring your knee closer back in. And that's all about, we're just trying to create evenness in our pelvis and even things out, but also stabilize. So if you're losing all that alignment, that's not the place we want to go. Again, just getting a sense of where we're going next. Okay, I have my little plan on the wall. Okay, bringing the foot back down. Again, reset your feet, heels out, toes out, back to that hip width, thinking center of the hip. And now we are going to put our arms out to the side, palms can still be up, and we are going to take our leg and we're going to cross it differently. We're going to cross it more kind of like a pretzel. And now the top leg is the side we're bringing our legs to. So we're going to get a nice little stretch here. So my right leg's on top, so I'm rotating my legs to the right. My head is going to go to the left, to the other side. You can also go palms down if that is comfortable for you. That adds a little bit more to this stretch. And so we're stretching all along this side of the body and breathing. This is a great time to take nice deep inhales into this upper side of the body. When we do the nice deep inhales, we get an internal stretch of our back and our abdominal muscles. And that's how we even things out. So I'm coming back to the center, resetting my feet again. We always want to reset our alignment before we go to the other side. If not, we're crossing our legs and affecting the even pull of things. So now I'm crossing my other leg. For me, it's my left on top. And because that's my left is on top, my legs are going towards the left. And then I'm going to turn my head the opposite way. Again, feeling the stretch through here. Nice deep inhales, putting some air in my side. Okay, hold it a couple more breaths. And we're going to come back to the center. Okay, so now we're going to go into a frog position. If for some reason this bothers you in your hips or your back or anything, it's not the right exercise for you. I would come back to the center and I would just put a yoga block or pillow and do some pillow squeezes. So we're going to put our feet together and we drop our knees out. If your knees drop all the way to the ground, I would also go back to those knee pillow squeezes. Not necessarily a position that you need. Otherwise, my arms are down by the side and palms up. You might notice one leg up a little higher. We are trying to release in through our adductors here. So it just depends. Sometimes our bodies are different from side to side, and that's what we're trying to even out. We're going to add in some abdominal crunches here in a second, but first let's release. And as always, I like to talk about what I have been posting about on social media. So we will kind of go through that as we go through class. Okay, so clasp your hands and just like this, and then you put them behind your head at eye level if you can, and your elbows are pulled back. And again, if you have shoulder issues, then you might want to modify or change. Maybe don't put the crunches in or just lower your arms. Again, you have to really listen to how your body responds. So I'm going to lift my head, looking up and back. So I'm going to lift, looking up and back. So it's a little bit of an abdominal exercise, but it's also an upper back exercise. So we're not doing a traditional crunch. Nope. We are looking up and back with our elbows back. So we're getting, again, this is all about that forward head and bending forward. So we're getting our upper back position kind of woken up, and then we are waking up some of our abdominal muscles. At the same time, we're evening out our pelvis. In this position, it creates kind of a natural tilt forward of our pelvis and a natural curve in our low back. So we are accomplishing a lot of different things from an alignment standpoint in this exercise. Okay, if you need to take a break, a pause, you can, and then continue on. If you just need to take a moment here. You can always skip exercises and just take a moment, just letting gravity act upon you in whatever position we're in, and setting yourself up evenly is still doing something. It's still working on your alignment. So this position is a great position just to be in and let gravity opening up your chest. So skipping an exercise that I've set out for you is still a fine thing to do. We're going to do 2 different bridging exercises here. We'll start off with our pillow, our yoga block between our knees. Palms are facing up here. You don't want to hold the ground and help. And we're going to lift and lower. And again, I've got my feet hip width apart. I've kind of checked my reset there. And I'm not, if you've ever done Pilates, I'm not doing the peel up, peel down. This is more of a lift and lower. But be mindful, if you have any kind of back pain, only go as high as is comfortable for you. And if that is a small lift and back down, that is okay. We are meeting our body where it is at. And so as long as you take that piece that you, where you're at, it's going to help you complete the class and feel your best when you're done. And that will then hopefully carry on to being able to do something else that you want to do, some type of walking or functional activity that you find a little harder to do. So those are our goals, not to just plow through symptoms. Okay, so from here, you can take a break for a second and do a second set, or you can add in some sort of, we call it the bridge can or marching. So I'm gonna lift, and then I'm gonna march a foot and march another foot. And again, you can stay up and do them, and then you can also take a break, come down, relift, and march again. So you can kind of decide your pattern there. If you need some breaks going back down in the bridge, it definitely is more challenging because we're trying to keep this very stable while we're lifting. So if you're finding that you're doing this, then you are not ready for this marching. You are better off doing a regular bridge with a pillow, without a pillow, or just go up and try and do one at a time. The whole idea is to get to the point that you are more stable in this exercise. Okay, and from here, I'm going to take one more bridge down and go back up and do my last few. We are going to be going to hands and knees to cats and dogs. And so one of the things that I did post about this week is I have this sort of work from home or study from home survival kit. It's got some pictures and tips with standing desks, like improvising and making your own, walking with a phone. So normally, if I don't have your email, that's the way people would get this. But if you want one, you can shoot me an email and I will send it to you anyways, because you're in my world. But that's one of the things I posted about this week. Okay, so we are rolling over to hands and knees. My hips are directly over my knees. My shoulders directly over my wrists. So kind of watch that. And then again, this hip width apart here. My knees are not glued together and they are not outside of my hips. And then you're going to sink your belly down. And this is the important part, is draw your shoulder blades together. If you're comfortable, head looks up. And then the whole thing reverses into a big rounded C. And so as my belly sinks down, I'm going to draw my shoulder blades together and look up. Now, the key here is really leading with your pelvis. So as you get this, you can add more of the details of leading with the pelvis, drawing my belly down, drawing my shoulder blades together, and my head up, making sure my ears are not my shoulders are not going up to my ears also. It's amazing how simple this exercise and how much is happening here. So we're rounding like a C, and I'm going back down. You're at your own pace, but just focusing on all of those segments where we're drawing those shoulder blades together. Again, if you have wrist issues and it's bothering you, you can go on fist. That works too. So we have modifications. This could also be sitting in a chair if this whole hands and knees position was not working for you. And now we're going to go into, from this position right here, we're going to go into reaching opposite arm and leg. Now, if you need a break, again, you can sit in the chair. You can just do alternating legs if you find doing both is too challenging. Again, it depends on your body. The key here, it doesn't really matter how many arms and legs are going. The key is to hold your trunk stable. So really, it's just about picking the right amount of challenge for you and keeping your body stable. You can do some arms only and then some legs only, meaning one arm, then the other arm, not both arms at the same time. But if I wanted to break this up, I can do just my arms, and then I can do just my legs, and that way you're getting both ends of it. There's just so many ways you can take this to modify for you. I am trying to hold it a little bit longer. That creates a little bit more of a stabilization effort to have to hold it. I'm going to peek in a second to where we're going. I think I know where we're going, and I'm going to double check my plan. So you can take a break or do a couple more reps. So next we're going to go into child's pose. Now, again, lots of modifications here. This is a full child's pose, but you could have your pillow under your head. You can lift up your butt if you cannot achieve back there. You could even put your hands and put something under your bottom. Find the amount of this position that works for you. And of course, then we add in some nice breathing into our back. So good for stretching out the back. So it doesn't matter, again, where you are at, but either way, you are taking nice deep inhales into your back here. You don't need your hands there. I'm just pointing to where you're breathing. And that should feel really, really good. Such a good back release stretch. And then from here, we'll be taking this into a little bit more of a working pose. So now we're going to go child's pose elevated. So we are going to put our hands in front. Now, again, if it bothers shoulders or anything like that, you can do more of a bend. But you can see how I'm kind of on a diagonal. My hands are down. I'm reaching out. It's about this work right here. So I could be up high here, I could be down low. I'm trying to find the middle ground where this is actually working. I'm pressing into the ground with my hands, or I'm pressing in sort of here, as long as you are comfortable with that. Your head can touch the ground or not touch the ground. It depends on your body where it's at. Mine is not touching the ground right now, just based on where I'm at and what's comfortable for me. We're stretching out the bottoms of our ankles and our feet, which is good. So a lot happening here. And then we will transition upward. So another post that I posted about this week had to do with the long-term effects of cigarette smoking compared with the forward head. And maybe that doesn't sound quite the same, but I'm going to go over kind of my philosophy about it as we are moving through the rest of class. I'll kind of give you a little bit of what I was trying to send the message in my social media, my reel to standing from here. But take your time. Let's sit for a second. We had our heads hanging down low. Don't get up too fast. You can stand up and sit for a minute. We're going to get ready for our slant board. Now, if you don't have a slant board, you are just going to use the wall, or you're going to roll up your yoga mat. But even just standing with your back against the wall is still really beneficial. I'm just going to demo really quick. So you've got your yoga mat a few inches from the wall, and you can stand, and that helps you so that you're stretching your calves. But believe it or not, just standing with your back against the wall is still effective at evening out some of the rotation that's happening in our body. Make sure your feet are parallel by the outsides of your feet. So I don't want your feet kind of like this. I want you to kick your heels out a little bit, and that is okay if you feel pigeon-toed. Kind of just check in where your head is at on the wall. We've already done a lot on the floor, so for some of you who've done this exercise, you may find your head is a little more accessible than when we do this sometimes in the beginning of class. I feel for me, this is also reflective of how much activity I've been doing, computer work, how easily my head will touch the wall. So when it's not touching easily for me, then I know I need my alignment stuff to get everything loading and stacking better. So we're gonna just stay here a moment and let our bodies respond. So what I was going to say about the smoking is basically when smoking, the warning came out that smoking wasn't good for people. It was in like 1964, I've done a little research on this, or 1966 maybe. And then they revised the warning in 1984. And so people were smoking already before those years. And then they took these warnings, and then they were addicted, and it was hard to quit. Now, all of us with our phones, we love the digital capability of everything. A lot of people are hanging with the phones. And when you see a picture of somebody with their head hanging down, you don't need research to tell you that doing that for 10, 20, or 30 years is going to be a problem on your neck, on your spine. Now, if you think even that's not really as detrimental as smoking, just realize your spinal cord is running through that spine. That's controlling what your arms are doing, your legs are doing. So it's a really important part of our body. And so we want to treat it a little kinder, holding up our phone more, propping our phone on things, being mindful how we are holding our head. And obviously I'm speaking majorly to our teens as well, but I'm not sure they're listening. Okay, glute squeezes here. We're gonna squeeze just our glutes here. So we kind of let things react. Now we're gonna add some motion to it. So this takes our leg bones and kind of turns them. So even though the work is happening in our glutes and we're even things out, we're also getting a little bit of a motion through our hip joint, which all through our body as we move, we look like we move in a forward way, but there's always a little bit of a rotational
component happening. So we're trying to always even those pieces out, which help us move better. Now let's work on some thigh, tightening of our thighs. If you can't quite figure that one out, you can bend your knees and straighten. But if you can, you're just trying to straighten the legs and tighten your quads. Pick and choose what works for you. I am just, again, paying attention to where we're headed, how we're doing on time, keeping us on track. So I know my whole analogy is a little dark or whatever, but I think it's really important for people to connect to the value of taking care of the body in a different way. I think we take advantage of our bodies a little bit. So let's move on to some shoulder blade squeezes. And I do think all these little reminders just help us think through the day. Oops, I'm tipping forward. Let me straighten myself up. I think that's the thing. I'm not somebody who is, just because I study posture, I'm immune to doing all these things. I do them, but I do catch myself and I correct myself because I know the value of it, and I try to find solutions to sort of balance things out. And we're gonna go into forearm stretch. So I'm gonna demo that. So it's gonna be, my back is gonna be to the wall. My back is gonna be to the camera because I'm gonna use the wall, but I'm gonna show you what we're doing on the wall. So you're gonna be finding a wall and you're gonna put your arms on the wall like this. The hands are gonna be facing down and you're gonna sort of lean in a little bit. So you're not gonna be too far from that wall and your shoulder blades are gonna come together. So if you can, you're gonna have your wrist close to the palms, or not the wrist, the palms will be touching the wall. Watch, look down at your feet, make sure they're parallel, then put your head back level, chin level to the ground. And it's not just about your fingertips, but it really depends on your body in terms of your tightness in your wrists. If you find you're really tight, this is something that you can do more often during the day. Again, I'm drawing my shoulder blades together. So we're getting sort of an upper back position. At the same time, we're stretching out our forearms. They can get pretty tight. And we really just need motion in all of our joints for the health of our joints. And that is really from fingertip to head to toe. And make sure you're not holding your breath. We're going to do arm circles. So we are going to put our feet parallel. And again, I'm watching my center of my hip width. Be mindful right now. This is where we want to think about our loading of our joints. So are you leaning forward at all? Are those hips going forward? Stack yourself up. Golfers, grip your fingers. I'm gonna bend them in like this. It's bending at the first knuckle, thumbs pointed out. And then we're going to bring our arms up and we are going to do forward arm circles. I'm checking my feet. And again, we're doing about 30 or so. At any point, if you need to, you bring your arms down. If you have a shoulder issue, you just go lower. If your shoulders or something really bothers you, shoulder blade squeezes is a great place to be. Again, we're always meeting our body with where it's at, what it needs. Lots of options here. And again, be mindful of how you're standing and loading your joints. And we'll do a few more. And then what we'll do is we'll reset our hands to go backwards. Okay, bring the arms down. I'm resetting my golfer's grip, bending at the first knuckle, thumbs pointed out, arms down, draw my shoulder blades back a little bit, flip my palms, thumbs are facing backwards. Now we go up and now we go backward. And again, you're being mindful of what's happening. You can lower your arms if needed. And again, usually backwards is a little more challenging. It's just not as easy as a motion. It's an area where we don't go in as well. So very normal to feel this a little bit more challenging. Okay, arms down.
We're gonna go into triangle. So you're gonna use a wall. If you have a wall, it's fine. If you don't have a big enough wall for this, then you just do it in the middle of the room. It does not matter. You're still gonna get different things out of this exercise. So you could be totally not near a wall to do this. Just depends on what you have accessible to you. So I'm making one foot that's pointing straight out so that heel's against the wall. And then the front foot is going to be parallel with the wall or just bisecting the center of my foot. So it wouldn't be on the wall if you're against the wall. You're gonna put your arms out, palms out. And so we tip our hips backwards in our trunk, and then we're going to lean. But you can see how my head and hands to start are together. You can add a little bit more in if you want, but first get what you can through the trunk. So you're gonna feel stretch through here. You're pushing weight down through the back leg. So there's a lot happening in here. Our hips are doing different motions. We're bending a little bit at our trunk. We're having to stabilize with our arms on the wall. Feet are very engaged into the ground. You can look back, so we get a little bit of a neck stretch, only if that feels good to you. Otherwise, keep your head more in neutral, looking out. And if you are on a wall, you are trying to keep your shoulder blades and your hips on the wall, which actually is what is most challenging of this exercise. Hard, even if you're in the middle of the room, you're getting a little bit more balance going on. So each one sort of brings its own piece of work and challenge. So we're gonna switch sides. I would do the same thing. If you're on a wall, stay on the wall if you can, and then if not, just stay in the middle of the room. All the walls are very interesting, trying to make these work. Arms pointed outward. And again, now I have my back foot heel to the wall, pointing out. This one's away from the wall. Either way, they're sort of bisecting each other. My arms are out, palms out, and I'm going to tilt. And then I can add a little bit more with the arms, stretching and reaching after I've kind of done my bend through my trunk. Again, being grounded down through the back foot and through the front foot. And if you're on a wall, then you're trying to have your shoulder blades be on the wall and your hip towards the wall. A lot goes on in this exercise, but again, taking any piece of it that works for you is still balancing some part of your body out. So be mindful trying to do things like this, the same on each side. So if you know you have a hard side, kind of go to the level of that and then match the other side to it, rather than really heavily going into a pose one way and not the other way. Again, sometimes we'll use one side with something like scoliosis, but anytime in a general class like this, we're doing both. The running man, one of my favorites. So we are going to do sort of a stance. I'm gonna make it so you can see me. Okay, one foot in front of the other, and the heel in the back is up. If you need more balance, then I would put the foot down, or I would grab your chair and have it near you or be next to your wall to do this, because it's sort of a balancing exercise. And then we're going to be moving our arms cheek to cheek like this. So we're kind of crouched down and then we pick up some speed. And this is actually an abdominal exercise that's working to stabilize. Again, if you have any shoulder issues, you can go slower and controlled. Just be mindful of what your body needs, be safe. And but I do like this one. This sort of gets the heart rate going, gets some oxygen flowing through the body. It happens to be one of my favorites. However, I think I have like 40 favorites, being that there's about 400 or so Egoscue exercises. I have a lot that I do like. Okay, switching sides. heel up in the back or this way. Make it so now you're on whichever way with the wall. If you need that balance, bending down a little bit and then taking the arms straight and picking up speed. And off we go. Running down the street, getting a little out of breath. Okay, and we're off. It's giving me a moment to think. Did I share anything else this week? I guess we have a few more since I wasn't on last week. So I do have a funny one that I posted. Go into short foot now. Get a little foot detailed action. So just deciding my direction for your view. This time feet are parallel where it's heel to toe. And I'm going to show a side view now. So now I'm going to bend my knees down and roll my hips forward. Again, if this part's complicated for you, you can kind of just be up until you get to know this exercise. The work is actually in the front foot where I'm going to take my toes and lift them and then press into the ground. I'm not curling them, I'm just lifting and pressing into the ground. Then I try to bring my chin level to the ground, nice and upright. Again, the added piece here when you've done this a lot is working on the spreading of your toes as you lift. Again, if you're new with this exercise, just try to lift your front toes and press them into the ground. The ball of the foot stays on the ground. Again, if you're working to get more on this, you're bent down, you've got your hips rolled forward, and you're adding in that nice spread as you lift. We're going to go back and forth a couple times. Okay, switching sides. So you could just switch your feet. I just flipped around. And so again, heel to toe, but they're not in front of each other. They're just parallel. I'm bending down. I'm rolling my hips forward. My front toes are doing the work. They're lifting and pressing into the ground, or you're lifting and spreading if you have it, and then pressing into the ground. And here we go. I have to say, I was looking at my toes today and I could tell my right toes were spreading better than my left. So I need to kind of work on that. I'm always working on little details to help my body stay as functional as possible. Okay, switching again. Again, when I switch, it's that, again, parallel feet, heel to toe, bending down, rolling hips forward, front toes doing the work, lifting, pressing. Lift and spread if you have it, and press into the ground. It's activating your arch to press into the ground. So one of the funny videos that I made was just about when I walk into the office or when I'm around people in general that they know I'm a posture therapist, everybody tends to stand up a little straighter. So it's quite funny, a little exaggeration of everyone who I work with when I walk in and I'm around them who are slouching and sit up. So it was kind of cute, funny, always a reminder to pay attention to what we're doing. Switching sides one last time. Feet are parallel, heel to toe, bend my knees, roll my hips forward, front toes lifting and pressing into the ground, lift and spread if you have it, and press into the ground. Again, I don't know if this is a favorite, but this is one that for me, so beneficial. I had my feet locked in shoes and orthotics for many years to keep my feet more comfortable. And I've really gotten to the point where I work a lot more on the mobility and the strength of my feet. So it's been an interesting journey learning about my body through all of this posture therapy, beyond the first learning of it as a physical therapist, where you're leaning on the wall, we call it a wall stretch or a counter stretch, just to kind of like lengthen through our trunk. So pick which one works for you. Just feel like that's kind of needed after that bending down, like crouching and tilting the pelvis forward. So if I'm feeling like I need it, I feel like it's a good way to modify things in the class. Okay, so we've got these. If you only have a pillow, that's fine. You'll just do some knee pillow squeezes and I'll give you an alternate from there. So if you have your strap, you're gonna put your strap around your legs and put your pillow or your yoga block between your feet. If you only have the pillow or the yoga block, I would just put it between your knees and do knee pillow. For sitting exercises, just to remind you, check your alignment. Knees over ankles, sitting up nice and tall. You're rolling your hips forward and then you are kind of settling into it. But being mindful that you're not rolling with your low back, you're rolling with the front of your hips. And so we're gonna pull out and press in, or you're just squeezing on the pillow. Just working on different things, different muscles that even out the muscles in our hips and our pelvis. And the knee pillow squeezes is like our standard go-to that we use so much. And then this adds more of our hip rotational muscles in. And so we're gonna go one direction with the block and strap, and then we're going to switch it. And when we finish these, we will go back to the floor to get ready in static back for our meditation. Okay, so we are pulling out and pressing in. And again, being mindful of what's happening everywhere else, chin level. It's common to want to watch your feet, but we don't want to hang our head down so much. Okay, so either you're doing another set of knee pillow squeezes or you are making your strap tighter and you're putting it now around your ankles. So with this, they're not touching, but there's a little bit of space. And then you put your pillow or your yoga block between your knees now. So we've switched it. And again, I'm still being mindful, knee over ankle, rolling up with my hips, relaxing my arms down. And now I'm gonna pull out with my feet, which causes in on the block. Or you're just squeezing, releasing. And if you feel like you've had enough of those and you only have a pillow, I would just hold this rolled up forward position and hold the posture and just work on your postural endurance. That's something that we all need. We spend a lot of time kind of relaxed into couches when we need that endurance of our sitting muscles in a more upright position. So we're pulling out and pressing in now. So you're feeling this work is all in the hips. I do feel like a little bit of a cramp. And my right side tends to be the side. The cramps are, when we're doing this class, cramps are normal in the sense that muscles that aren't working as well kind of are getting a little bit more engaged. So if you need to, you pause a little bit, but that generally is not a problem. Okay. A few more squeezes. And so, again, great time to just assess the body, how it feels. Palms are up, arms are out to the side. Kind of be mindful of, did you feel a little bit of your head wanting to tip back? Does anything feel a little more released and open here? And we're even going to take a set of pullovers here. And this way you can see how do things feel after we've done everything else. we've done. So do that while I get our meditation. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale it out. Sink your body into the ground. I want you to wiggle your fingers and then just let them relax into the ground. Wiggle your toes. Maybe flex and point your feet a little. Let your legs relax out. Soften your eyelids. Tongue is on the roof. Teeth are slightly open. Relax your jaw. We're going to take a few minutes here to just settle in. And if the thoughts pass and you start thinking about something, just come back to thinking about your inhales and your exhales. You're going to connect back in. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale it out. You're going to just move your shoulders a little bit. Kind of wiggle your toes. And you'll take your time moving your chair or your block out of the way so you can roll to the side. And we're going to slowly bring ourselves back to sitting.